this is just my opinion, is that Perry did the right thing because she refused to. She had no integrity. And that's my personal opinion, based on the facts that I've seen. So we've got all those things bouncing around back and forth. Now what's odd is that this indictment comes less than a week after Rick Perry set up Rick PAC, kind of an attempt to start fundraising, looking towards his 2015-2016 run for president again. And he was kind of on the fence trying to decide one way or the other if he was going to run. Well, he decided he was going to look harder at running for president for the 2016 race. So he set up Rick PAC, and less than a week later, Travis County, through their corrupt DA, and she is corrupt. I mean, come on. She had what should have been a felony DUI, and somehow she's still in office. That's corruption, folks. That cut and dry. So somehow this corrupt DA, turns around and gets an indictment against him right after he sets up his PAC. And a lot of political analysts have come forward and said this could cause Perry some problems in his campaign, depending on how the court case goes and if it's finalized before the campaign actually starts for president. Because if this finalizes beforehand and Perry wins, and he wins hands down, which very well could be the case, it's going to be bullets. It's going to be talking points for him saying that, look, he can face corruption and he can be a good leader and he's going to stand up for America, blah, blah, blah. So he has that in his favor if he wins. If the court case is still ongoing or if it's still in appeal phases or whatever come that campaign time, instead of talking his platform, he's going to get questions about the indictment left and right and left and right. And that's going to disturb his campaign and his ability to talk about issues such as the border, economics, balanced budget, etc., etc. Now, I have for you, and as you know, we've had a couple of technical difficulties in the past with some of these clips, but I do have a clip of Governor Perry's statement. So this is his official statement if it plays, folks. So let's listen in and see if we can hear what Governor Perry had to say.
We say thank you all for coming out here today. As governor, I took an oath to faithfully uphold the Constitution of the state of Texas, a pledge that I have kept every day as I've worked on behalf of Texans for the last 14 years. That's the same Constitution that clearly outlines the authority of any governor to veto items at his or her discretion. Just as I have, following every legislative session during my service as governor, I exercise this authority to veto funding for an office whose leadership had lost the public's confidence by acting inappropriately and unethically. I wholeheartedly and unequivocally stand behind my veto, and I'll continue to defend this lawful action of my executive authority as governor. We don't settle political differences with indictments in this country. It is outrageous that some would use partisan political theatrics to rip away at the very fabric of our state's Constitution. This indictment amounts to nothing more than abuse of power, and I cannot and I will not allow that to happen. I intend to fight against those who would erode our state's Constitution and laws purely for political purposes, and I intend to win. I'll explore every legal avenue to expedite this matter and bring it to a swift conclusion. I'm confident that we will ultimately prevail, that this farce of a prosecution will be revealed for what it is, and those responsible will be held accountable. Thank you.
Talk about public confidence there in the DA's office. Do you believe the indictment will obviously done that.
Here's what I think is really important for the people to understand, not just in Texas, but this country. And that is, we have seen an office in the form of the Travis County District Attorney's Office, the lead legal individual for criminal affairs in this county, and overseeing public officials who conducted themselves in an incredibly inappropriate way, stopped for a DWI with a blood alcohol level almost 3 times the legal limit. An individual who, when booked in, had to be restrained, was abusive to law enforcement, was kicking the door. I think Americans and Texans who have seen this agree with me that that is not an individual who is heading up an office that we can afford to fund. Now, the people of Travis County may decide that that is the type of individual that they want in that office. But as the governor of the state of Texas, and as the individual who has the authority constitutionally to decide whether we're going to spend state dollars on that, I made that decision and I said no. And given that information and given that choice again, that is exactly what I would do.
Of course, afterwards, that after this veto, that you or your office made some suggestion that you could restore the money if she would resign. Did that happen, and is that appropriate?
Listen, the details of my decision making were very clear. I said early on that I was going to clearly veto those dollars as long as they had someone in that office who I lost confidence in. And I did exactly what I said I would do.
Governor Perry, what do you consider yourself into central booking?
You had your hand up.
The question seems to be, in this case, though, in the minds of many people, is not whether or not you actually have the constitutional veto authority. It's attaching what many people say is a threat to that veto authority. What's your response?
I disagree with you. I think there are a lot of people on both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans, who have looked at this and understand it to be exactly what we're seeing, a political decision that has been made in Travis County. I'm going to continue to do my job. I'm going to continue to deal with the big, important issues that are important to the people of the state of Texas, and for that matter, of this country. We have a border that it is not secure because of what the federal government has failed to do. Yesterday, I talked to the mother of the Border Patrol agent who was gunned down in cold blood in front of his family by an individual who has come across this border multiple times, a criminal alien. That mother expects me to do the job and keep the citizens of this state safe, and that is what I'm going to do from today until I leave office in January of 2015. Thank you.
So there you have it, folks. Governor Perry, in his own words, responding to the allegations, responding to the indictment, answering some questions. And one of the things that Governor Perry stated was that there are people on both sides of the aisle have looked at this and have sided with him, that he had the constitutional right to do that veto, and he did so for good reason. And there have been several members of the Democratic Party who have come out in support of Governor Perry on this particular issue. I'm not saying they would agree with him 100% on anything else, or even at all on anything else, but they do agree with him that he had the constitutional right, and he did the right thing. So, looking at that that part of the story, Governor Perry was correct in saying that there are people on both sides of the aisle who have looked at this and said it is nothing but an extreme political circus move being done by Rosemary Lehman. And Miss Lehman really, hopefully, this, when this comes down and the court case goes through and she fails, which is what I hope happens, but we'll see what evidence demonstrates one way or the other. But in hopes, if she loses and loses bad in this case, in this prosecution, and it is determined that it's a farce, hopefully Perry takes some kind of action in response, some kind of civil or legal, well, some kind of through the courts action, that is, and names her back after the criminal trial is done, of course, that it puts an end to Lehman's career, because her career should have been done when she stood trial for her aggravated DUI, and it wasn't. She didn't even get convicted of the aggravated DUI. That was the initial charge. It got reduced down before it even got put on trial, which, would that have happened to you or me or any other citizen? Probably not. But because of who she is and what political office she had, she was shown special treatment. And then she was shown further special treatment in not being forced to resign or being removed from office. Had she been on the other side of the aisle, well, things could have been very different. Could have been forced out of office for that same action. So there's a lot going on there. But like even David Axelrod, who's an Obama supporter of the nth degree, even stated about Perry that unless he, as in Perry, was demonstrably trying to scrap the ethics unit for other than his stated reasons, the Perry indictment seems pretty sketchy. And yeah, I'll agree with you there on that one, David. It was extremely sketchy. And another lefty man by the name of Jonathan Chait said, my preliminary reaction to the Rick Perry indictment is I don't understand what law he even broke. And Ari Melber said the Perry indictment looks like a major overreach on paper, misuse of government services and coercing official, both based on a veto. So, you know, there you go. There's some statements right there that are pro-Perry coming from people who are normally political opponents. Jonathan Chait even wrote that he thinks it's ridiculous and frivolous. It's going to be a waste of taxpayer money. Montel Williams is not a big fan of Rick Perry's, but he sees the whole indictment as extremely bizarre. In fact, Montel says, this guy has many, many, many things. I'm just not sure he's a criminal. Even liberals seem to think the thing is shaky. Let's just let the guy finish his term so I don't have to keep listening to him. So, there you go. He didn't care for his politics because he didn't give me the right to criminalize his politics. Montel seems a little bit confused in his writing there. He must have been writing on Twitter, but I'm reading the feed, kind of a feed coming out of there. But anyway, I did up the response coming from Senator Cruz and Perry, and Perry's general counsel in the governor's office, basically his lawyer. If you look over that on BuzzPo, but Stephen Ale did a great update about about those on the other side of the aisle who are supporting Perry as far as this whole indictment thing goes, and how ridiculous it really is. I mean, you know it is ridiculous when some of the die-hard leftists out there are looking at this and going, wait, really? Really? And when you think about it, though, is if they were to support this indictment of Perry, if it were one of them, they'd have to do the same thing. That's the problem. Is you can't support. They have to watch how they support certain actions, and beating him politically would be one thing. Beating him through lawfare, it's not going to help the liberals. it's not going to hurt the conservatives the way you think. And I think that this whole court case is going to come down. Perry's going to be vindicated, and he's going to win. Hands down, going to win the court case. And I have a feeling that Rosemary Lehman is going to take one hell of a hit on this. I think it's going to bolster Perry's chances for the presidency. Not saying he'll win it. I'm saying it'll bolster his chances. And folks, by no means is this an endorsement. I did not endorse him in 2012, and I'm not endorsing anybody for 2016 yet because we don't even know who's tossed their hat in the ring yet. So, I just hope Romney stays out of it. My 2 cents. Not a big Romney fan, even though I did vote for him, and I'll admit that one. Still not a big fan. But, we'll see. This could either bolster Perry in a campaign for president, or it can harm it, and we'll see exactly how that comes down. All I could say is it is not something that will have zero impact. It'll be either greatly improve or greatly harm. There's no middle ground in there. So, that brings us to the end of the show, folks. So what have we discussed today? The big news that we discussed, of course, has been the events going on in Ferguson, Missouri, and how stupid that is. And in fact, even more stupid it appears in light of the recent evidence that has come to light, making the rioters and looters and mob action, mob justice, social justice people there look even more emotive and animalistic rather than rational human beings as far as this goes. Now, your peaceful protesters, rational. The people doing violent things in protest, so to speak, in quotes in protest, not so rational. Now, and of course, we discussed the things going on with the Governor Perry indictment. I'm sure as more information comes to light, I'll be able to keep you all updated on that. But hopefully we'll have some better news coming out that we can talk about for the rest of the week, because I don't want to be a two-topic pony for the rest of the week. But we'll keep you all posted, and y'all have a great day, have a great work week, and we'll kind of listen to that Mr. America again as we kind of fade out the show here, folks. So y'all have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 8 a.m. Central Time. Bye-bye.
Mr. America, look what you've done.
Yeah, looking at the country is not what I intended. Gotta start to make a change before the never-ending story of a failed nation runs straight out of luck. Like $1 million Tyler Perry movies, you suck. All your little have lots, you still selfish and want more voting in your self-interest. Now instead of the core principles that made this country both honest and true. Free to speak, worship,